Welcome back to No Nonsense Nana. We're at episode number 6. I hope you've been following along and been keeping up with everything we've been talking about. I shared some stories about Bibles and things that have happened to me. And today I'm going to do a really hard one for me. This is my own personal testimony. And it's never easy to come face to face with who you are, where you've been, what you've done, but how you found grace. Since we've been talking about Bibles, we're going to start with my personal Bible. This is my oldest Bible. Well, I should say not my oldest. I got one when I was really young, but I didn't use it very much. But this one, you can see is falling apart. It's losing its cover. I've written in it. I've highlighted it. It is falling apart. But this particular Bible means so much to me that even when I've gone through some of life's roughest times, there was something about just holding this Bible and the smell of it. I know you think that's weird. That's okay. I'm okay with being weird. I love the smell of this Bible. I love this Bible. And I have other Bibles that I have been trying to wean myself off of this Bible because it's falling apart. Even some of the pages are falling out. That's how worn out this Bible is. It's kind of sad in a way that this Bible was a gift from my ex-husband. Yes, you heard it right. I did the terrible D word. I went through a terrible divorce. And today I'm going to tell you my testimony. And I have to tell you, I was kind of debating with God about this one because it's so hard to bare your soul. And you never know who's watching or who will say what. And it doesn't matter about that. It matters that I am. Anybody that knows me has heard me say this, that sometimes I struggle with that 4-letter word. You ready? It's OBEY, obey. When you're a Christian and you're dying to self and living for God, you learn to get control of that obey word and give it to God. Because you can't serve God and make him happy if you aren't obedient. Sort of like your children, when you're trying to teach them how to be good, productive kids, people, and they don't want to listen and they're disobedient. But when they listen, it makes you happy. Well, God's the same way. He likes it when we're obedient, when we listen, because he has our best interest at heart. He knows how he made us. He knows what kind of personality he gave us. He knows our shortcomings. He knows the talents he's given us. He knows us. You can't pull the wool over his eyes. He's got our number. And he's got my number. And he knew, and he knows, you know now, God, that I struggle to tell my story. It's hard to bare your soul. Well, up until now, I was born into a preacher's home. I was a preacher's kid. We called ourselves PKs. PK for short for preacher's kid. And I grew up with the real McCoys. My parents were the real thing. And when God is a part of your home, you learn who God is and you see him and you hear him all around you. Funny story. I remember being a little kid in church and being about 5 or 6, maybe, and feeling God speak to me the first time. And I remember going to the altar because I heard God speak to me. And God doesn't speak to me in an audible voice. I'm not saying he never does that for people. I'm saying that that's not how he speaks to me. And in a later episode, I will tell you how God speaks to me, and I will give you some instructions to help you hear God's voice for yourself. But I remember as a little kid feeling God speak to me. And I remember going to the altar and asking God, telling that God that if I gave my heart and life to him, if he would just give me banana popsicles. Yeah, that was the trade. You give me banana popsicles and I'll give you my heart. Yeah, kind of crazy, isn't it? So, anyway, that's my youngest recollection of feeling God speak to me. I don't remember getting banana popsicles, by the way. Another time God spoke to me, I was a little older and back in that house where food was kind of scarce at times. And my mom had bought vanilla wafers to make banana pudding for a church dinner. Yeah. And when no one was looking, I went in the kitchen and ate the vanilla wafers. And my mom asked all of us in the house who ate my vanilla wafers, and nobody would admit it. Yeah. And I lied. By the way, did you know that? Did you know that God knows when we're lying, but even more important, Satan makes you do something wrong and then he gets you to lie about it. So almost every time it's a 2 for 1 for him. Satan loves getting 2 for 1. 2 for 1. First, just steal vanilla wafers, and then second, you lie about them. Yeah, 2 for 1. Think about it. What have you ever done that Satan got 2 for 1 for you? And lying almost all the time is an easy 2 for 1, like buy one, get one free. He figures he bought your soul, he's going to get a lie on top of it for free. Yeah. Lying is one of those big ones. We'll talk about that another day. But I went to bed that night and I had a guilty conscience. I had lied to my mom, that sweet, dear mom of mine. And I lied and went to bed and tried to sleep. And guess what happened? I had a guilty conscience. Yeah. Somewhere in that night of rolling around in that bed, God spoke to me and said, you're not going to sleep. You lied to your mom and you stole those vanilla cookies. You ate them without permission. Yeah. If you eat something or take something without permission, guess what? It's stealing. So those big steps on that second floor, I walked halfway down and I was crying. And my mom and dad were still awake in the living room and they looked over and they saw me on those steps hanging on to those railings. And my mom asked me what I was crying about. And I told her, I ate your vanilla wafers and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. And I wish I could tell you that that's the only time in my life I was ever sorry about sin I've committed. Oh, but friends, there have been so many other times that I've committed sin. So many other times that I believed Satan's lies when he would tell me that things would be better off if I would go his way. And it was all a lie. Sin is a lie. It's a lie. It makes you think things are going to be better if you do this or that, if you take what's not yours, if you lie to someone, or if you cheat on them or betray them, or take things that don't belong to you, or become jealous or vindictive. Satan will tell you that it will be better off if you get even. But it's all a lie. It's all a scam. Whenever we sin, all of a sudden we realize we are in deeper than we ever thought we would ever be. And Satan will get us to do more things than we ever thought we would. And that we will cross lines that we thought we would never cross in a million years. And this sweet little PK became a sinner, did things that she thought she never would. And I was in a marriage that was falling apart, and a business that was falling apart, and losing every single thing that was in our lives was falling apart, even to the point that I went and had a tumor removed right up here on the top of my forehead. And the dermatologist said, I'm going to send this away, but by looking at this tumor already, we need to remove it right away. And I'm telling you, I'm almost 100% positive it's cancer. And I joked that I was Job's cousin. If you haven't read the book of Job yet in your new Bible, you'll have to go read that. Things kept happening to Job, one thing after another. And that's the way it was with me. I had a husband that didn't love me. I had a business that went under. I lost everything: house, money, business, husband, and even my health was in question. And in all of the middle of all of that, I had 2 kids that were struggling with what was going to happen to mom and dad and the home they always knew. There are consequences to sin. And I thought, I'm tired of being called the goody two-shoes. I'll show you. And I started doing things I never thought I would do in a million years. When the business went under, it was bad. But when the marriage of 25 years went under, it was really bad. I loaded up my car and I moved to Florida, 1,200 miles away. My oldest daughter was in her first year of college, and my youngest daughter, she transplanted to Florida with me. And we did a lot of crying. The marriage was in shambles, and we had nothing. And in all of that, I started doing things that I knew were sin, that I'd never tried before, and I didn't care. It's sad because Satan makes you think that you don't care, that you can just give up and move past it all. And you'll find that the other side of the coin will make you so much more happy. All the years that I worked for Jesus and lived for Jesus, I just walked away. And God kept calling me in Florida. He kept speaking to me. And my youngest daughter and I, we would go to different churches and try different churches, but I just wasn't ready to surrender again to God and to be obedient and obey. I just wasn't ready. And my life just fell apart. I tried different relationships and jobs and drank and did all the things that I never did before. And I thought, I'll show you. I'm not a goody two shoes anymore. But I found out there was no happiness in that. There was no peace. I was so broken. I was such a mess. And my daughter struggled so much, my youngest daughter. And she finally decided she was going to move back to Ohio with her dad. And I found myself all alone in Florida, 1,200 miles from family. And God just kept speaking to me. You see, when we walk away from God, He doesn't walk away from us. He keeps pulling on us. His love keeps reaching us and keeps telling us that He's still there and He still cares and He wants to help. One day I got a call from my brother in Ohio, and he called to tell me about this preacher that he had heard speak and that he was such a great preacher. And he said, you have to go hear him speak. His home church is in the same town you live in Florida. And he said, in fact, I looked, he's really close to where you live. You should go over to his church some Sunday and listen to him preach. So I decided, at first I just kind of blew it off, and then I kept feeling God speak to me, calling me back. I had been in Florida for 7 years. I call it my 7 years in the wilderness. And that Sunday, I decided to go. I just felt God speaking to me so strong, just pulling at me. And I thought, I'll just get up this morning and I'll go visit this church like my brother asked me to do. And I got there and I didn't know it was a mega church. And it was huge. And I don't know how many people it held, but probably 12 to 1,500 people. It was huge. And the attendance was down that day. It wasn't packed, but there were a lot of people still. And I got there and walked in, and not one person spoke to me. Not one. I walked in the doors and down the hallway into the sanctuary, and there were people all around, but not one person spoke to me. Not a smile, not a handshake, not a how you doing, not a so glad you're here, nothing. And I sat down towards the back, but not in the very back of the church. But I went that morning not because of that big church. I went because God just would not leave me alone. He just wouldn't leave me. He kept reminding me how much He loved me. and how much he saw my life was in such a mess and turmoil, and I was all alone 1,200 miles from home, and that I had been there for 7 years, and I had tried the sin side of life, and it had left me sin sick. And I sat in the service, and the pastor that my brother had told me all about, that I should go here and preach, he wasn't even there that Sunday. He was out preaching special services somewhere else. And another man preached. I don't know who he was. I don't remember his name. I don't remember anything he preached. I don't remember nothing about it. I couldn't even tell you what he looked like. That part of it just pushed out of my mind. And it didn't matter who was there or who wasn't there. It only mattered that God was just pleading with me. He was pleading with me. Come on, Theresa. Come back. Come back where you're loved and you're wanted. Come back where life makes sense, where you have direction and purpose. Come back. And at the end of the preaching, they sang a song and had an altar call where you could go down front and pray. And I was so nervous because I felt God speaking to me so strong. And I couldn't just stand there and not respond. Even if nobody around me was going to the altar, God kept saying, Theresa, it's time. It's time to put all that life that you've been doing behind you and come down and restore your relationship with me. Come back. Come back home, you prodigal daughter. Come back home where you belong, where you're loved, where you're accepted, where there's a plan for you. You see, I had been dating a man, and I thought that we were going to get married and that things were going to work out. But instead, we broke up, and I was in Florida all alone with no one in my life. And there God was saying, I've been here all along. Come back. And it took every ounce of energy in me to finally say, okay, God. And though nobody in that huge crowd was going to the altar to pray, I knew I had to. It was almost a test to say, do you love me? Theresa, do you love me enough to walk down in front of this mega church and kneel at that altar and renew your relationship with me? Will you do that for me? All we have, folks, the only thing we have to a God who made the universe, a God who does all the things around us that we see, the sky and the universe, love, restoration, redemption, salvation, all the big Christian words. That God, you know that one? The one who makes a baby inside a woman's womb? That one who sent his son to die on a cross for our sins? You know that one? The only thing that we can give him is us. He gave everything, his son, for us, and he asks that we give that back to him. Ourselves, our loves, all of who we are that he already knows about. So I did it. I don't know how I did it. I don't really remember walking down the aisle. I just remember taking the first few steps out of the chairs where I was sitting. Just seemed so monumental. And I made it to the altar. And when I got down to that altar, I just bawled. I just cried like a baby. Every sin I had committed for so long, all those ups and downs and ins and outs of that 7 years in Florida came flooding out of me in a way you just can't imagine. And I just cried and said, God, I am so sorry for the mess that I have made of my life and how it's affected my daughters and my witness. There is no witness. I am a bag of nothing laying at this altar in front of you, and I'm so sorry. Is there any hope for me? Is there any hope left for me? And folks, if you have never had the courage to walk down to an altar, you are missing out, because God is faithful and loving, and He meets you when you put it all on the altar. He meets you there. He meets you there. You feel His love wrap around you in a way that nothing in this world compares to. Nothing. I'm telling you, nothing compares to falling on your knees in front of the great God of the universe and feeling Him wrap His warm, loving arms around you and saying, "It's okay, Theresa. I forgive you. I forgive you. Come back home. Just come back home." And I did. I sat there and I bawled. Not one person in that big, huge mega church came and prayed with me. Not one. They never even came to see if I needed anything prayed about or nothing. Never asked my name. I got up from that altar and wiped the tears from my eyes and walked back to the seat that I had just left. They got up and had a closing prayer, and everybody left. And I walked out of that church. Still, not one person spoke to me. I think about that today, how sad that is, that someone would go to that church, feel God speak to them, go to the altar, pray, get up and walk away, and not one other person ever spoke to them. I never want that to happen in any church I attend. I don't want that to ever be said of anybody that reaches out to me on the internet, that there's not one single person that ever reached back. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that no one in that mega church spoke to me. It doesn't matter if I get up from this desk right here and go out into the world and no one ever speaks to me. If God is on my side, it doesn't matter. Sometimes we wonder how people became martyrs for Christ. How in the world did they go through that? But you know what? When God is with you, there is nothing that can stand against you if God is for you. He gives us the strength to go through anything. I went back to my apartment. I drove from the church to my apartment, and I was so filled with God's Spirit in me. And I was so overwhelmed by His presence and His love and His wiping me clean from the inside out, and just this new life that I had forgotten what it felt like. I'd been so far removed from Him for so long. And when He restored that relationship with Him and me, it was so all infilling, inspiring. It's hard to explain. I went back to my apartment and I found my Bible and I said, "Show me something, God. Show me something. I don't want this feeling of you being here with me. I want more. More. I want you to tell me more." And I picked up my old green Bible, this one I keep showing to you that's falling apart now. I picked this Bible up and I was leafing through it and I came across this sticky note. I'm going to try to put it close to you. I know it's backwards, but it's handwritten. Jeremiah 29:11. I didn't know what to read. I just grabbed my Bible. It's like, God, show me something. I need something. And so that little yellow sticky note, I thought, where in the world did this come from? I have no clue where this yellow sticky note came from, but I'm going to look up this verse. And I'm going to read this verse to you now. Jeremiah 29:11. And this is in my NIV, my New International Version. And this is what God said to me. Remember, I had just broke up with a guy I thought I was going to marry. My daughter had moved back to Ohio. I was 1,200 miles from family, and I was all alone. And this is what God said to me. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you." That statement right there, the not to harm you. Do you know how many people had hurt me? People love to talk. Ex-husbands love to betray. I was hurt. I was broken. I was in a million pieces that day that I went to that church and went to the altar. I drive back to my apartment. What's one of the first thing God says to me? "I have plans to prosper you, Theresa, and not to harm you." Do you know what it's like to be in a relationship with God where you know it's safe? That God's not out to hurt you. He's out to help you and to love you back to Him. Oh, that wasn't even, that would have been enough right there. But Jeremiah 29:11 says so much more. It's hard for me to read this and not bawl again. And it's been a lot of years since this happened to me. Why is it that it's still so real and fresh? Because my relationship with God is still so real and so fresh as that day that I went to the altar and renewed it. God doesn't walk away. He doesn't call you to the altar and then walk away. No, He keeps pulling you and revealing Himself to you and showing Himself to you. Listen what else He said to me that day. Why these verses are my favorites. He said, "Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Remember what I just said? I thought that I was all alone and that I had no future. I was living paycheck to paycheck. No man in my life. My kids were no longer in my life. I was totally alone. And God just promised me plans and a future. And that still wasn't everything in these verses that I needed to hear. He said, I love this part. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. Did you hear that? For any of you out there that don't know anything about God, listen to what God just said, and what He said to me applies to you. He said, then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you, declares the Lord. And He didn't stop there. There's more. He said, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord. I don't know if you've watched any of these podcasts up till today. I don't know where you are with God. I don't know if you even believe in God. Sometimes the very first thing that people recognize from God is when they feel conviction. If you don't know what that big word conviction means, let me explain it to you. I'm well versed in conviction. Conviction means you've sinned, you've done the wrong thing. You know what it is. Nobody has to tell you. You know when you've stepped out of line and when it crossed a line that became sin. You know. Nobody needs to tell you. In fact, sometimes we try to not even tell ourselves because the guilt and the shame is so bad that we can't even deal with it ourselves. And Jesus says, come here. I'm going to give you a new chance and a new hope and a new plan and a new life. And I will wipe the sin out of your life. And you feel that conviction and that shame, and you feel God tugging at your heart. That's conviction. Conviction is when you feel God pulling you to step away from the sin. Walk away. It's taking you down, and every time you feel anything about that sin, you feel regret and guilt and shame. And Jesus is saying, come, I died and rose again to give you a new chance at life. And the day that I knelt at that altar, God wiped all that sin away and gave me a new life, a new hope, and a new start. And it wasn't just there. He didn't just stop there. He said, I'm going to read it to you again because you need to hear it. You need to know that what he said to me is available to you. He wants to say it to you right now. And if you're watching this and he's speaking to you, then the words that I'm reading are for you too. just like they were for me. He said, then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. Are you ready? Are you ready to confess the sin that you did? Because Jesus already said, if you'll come to me with your whole heart, I'll listen to you. He said, I will be found by you. So if you want to know if this God thing is real, if you want to know, is Jesus real? If you want to know what I've been talking about, if you want to know what my parents lived, the way I was raised, if any of it is true, you do not have to take it secondhand. You can come for yourself to God. He's waiting for you. He's already calling you. If you feel any kind of twinge right now in your heart, it's because he's speaking to you and he's calling you to come. Come and pray to him and seek him with all your heart. You know what, people? You cannot play games with God. You know why there are churches in every corner and people who believe 50 million things differently than the next Christian or the next church? Here's the truth. It's because they have tried to do the Bible, they have tried to do God on their own terms, with their own intellect, with their own research. Hey, folks, you can't research the Bible on your own and expect to find the truth. It will not happen. You want to know who God is? Then you have to come to him on his terms. You have to give it all. You have to lay it all on the altar. You have to realize you're a sinner, and only Jesus Christ in his mercy can save you. And when you do that, when you give it all to Jesus, your whole heart, he said that right here. If you will seek me, you will find me. When you seek me with your whole heart. Oh, and I love this part. I just said it over and over again. And I needed God to tell me, maybe you do right now too. I needed God to tell me, I will be found by you. God is faithful. God is faithful to that word in Jeremiah 29:11. I went to the altar and laid my whole heart there, and God has allowed me to find him. I'm years later. I have to think about how many years, well over 25 years since this moment, and I still feel that relationship with God as strong as I did then when I read these verses. God has not walked away from me. He's allowed me to keep finding him over and over. He keeps revealing his word over and over to me. And so many times people are trying to intellectually figure out who God is. And there's no other way than this. You want him to show himself to you, reveal himself to you, jump off the pages of your Bible into your heart and mind. And he doesn't want you to check your mind at the door. No, he said, come, let us reason together. That's what he says. And he said in Jeremiah and Isaiah said that he wants to write his word, his truth on our hearts. I'm sorry, but I don't want, and I have nothing against these people, and I'm only saying it because so many people look for others to tell them who God is. I'm not looking for these TV evangelists and these TV preachers and their Bible commentaries to tell me who God is and what God's truth is. God promised me in Jeremiah and Isaiah that God, would write his truth on my heart. And I know you're listening to me, but let me tell you, you don't need me to tell you what God's truth is. You need to listen to God. He just promised you if you would seek him with your whole heart, he would be found by you. He would listen to you and he would write his word on your heart. Ah, where are you today, folks? Where are you? Are you living for Christ? Have you given God your whole life and your whole heart? Have you surrendered everything? He's waiting. He's waiting. Do you want to take this trip with me? I have this little paper here. If you want a copy, I'll send it to you in an email. Just subscribe below and send me your email address. You want to know God? Start with Jeremiah 29:11. You need God. No one else can wipe out the sins in your life. You can't save yourself. It takes an act of salvation through Jesus Christ. You have to accept Jesus. There's no shortcuts. You can't do it part way and you can't do it half-hearted. You can't. And I might not know. There's a lot of people out there who think they're Christians and they pretend they're Christians and they go to church and do everything else. But God knows. God knows who's true and real. And he knows if you are going to be true and real. And you can't ever expect to know who God is unless you come to him on his terms. So today is when you accept. It says in the Bible, today is the day of salvation. Harden not your hearts. Today. So even if I'm on the internet and you're sitting alone in your bedroom or in your house or wherever you are, if God is calling you, he can meet you right where you are. Nobody else has to be there. God's relationship with you is one-on-one. He sees you, he knows who you are, and he loves you. But you have to accept his invitation. Put your phone down, put your computer down, kneel down by your bed, kneel down by your chair, wherever you are, and say, God, I'm sorry for all the sins I've committed. Please, Lord, I want to know you. I want to have a relationship with you. Please, Lord, help me. And right now, today, surrender 100% to God. Trust me. You know what else my dad said on his deathbed? He said he's never regretted living for God. Never. And he was dying. He knew he was going to see. And you know what? I have so many regrets for living in sin and doing what Satan talked me into that I willingly did. I don't regret a day that I have lived for God. I love him and he loves me and he loves you. I hope you pray that prayer today. God bless you, folks. I'm going to stop this right now and pray that God will speak to whoever hears this and needs to hear it. God bless you.